Hi there, welcome to our channel. To learn the most fascinating world facts, please watch the entire video. We'll discuss about Australia is facing devastating floods in the video of today. Let's start. Gianni Vitellone saw as Australia was repeatedly hit by climate disasters in recent years, first by wildfires and then by floods. But he never imagined that his own suburb, which is only 7 miles from Melbourne's downtown, would be plagued by the nation's more unpredictable weather. After a weekend of heavy rainfall, already flooded towns in Australia's east were on high alert on Monday, with officials warning that a violent weather system might last until later this week and cause further riverbank breaks. As the fourth flooding disaster of the year in the east enters its third week, thousands of homes and farms over a large section of New South Wales and Victoria, Australia's two most populous states, have been submerged. Additionally, 5 people in the nation have lost their lives. After up to 200 millimeters, 8 inches, of heavy rain fell over the weekend, residents of Lismore, a town of 77,000 people located roughly 700 kilometers, 435 miles, north of Sydney and already ravaged by flooding in March, faced yet another flood. Despite the cancellation of a severe weather warning on Monday, the area remains on flood watch. Numerous agricultural areas have suffered significant effects, notably Moree, where the local river reached near historic flooding levels. Moree Mayor Mark Johnson told ABC News that the destruction was horrendous and widespread. Some farmers will receive crops this year, but there will be plenty who won't, said the farmer. As they looked for a woman who was allegedly trying to flee a car that was apparently caught in floodwaters close to the town of Mudgee, emergency personnel warned locals not to drive on flooded roadways. Residents of Echuca, in the neighboring state of Victoria, are still protected by a dirt levee built last week as the Murray River, Australia's longest river, approached a nearly 30-year high. A day before the release of the national budget, the federal government said on Monday that it will set aside 577 million Australian dollars, $370 million, to expedite the processing of relief payments. The 38-year-old travel agent reported to work as normal at 5 a.m. on Friday after receiving the order to evacuate by knock on the door. As aerial photographs showed the floods from the neighboring Maribyrnong River rising to 13.7 feet, far higher than the threshold for a catastrophic flood on that river, he watched the flood reports from his desk with increasing incredulity. That evening, he put on a pair of waders and pried open the door to the house he and his wife share. He reflected on his debris-filled yard on Tuesday and said, "I don't know how anyone can maintain that it's not climate change." The street was lined with broken furniture and household things waiting for the garbage men. The majority of Australia's 25.5 million population live in the east, where flooding have forced thousands of people from their homes in recent days. According to government estimates, the floodwaters could inundate or isolate up to 34,000 dwellings in southern Victoria state alone. Authorities issued too late to flee warnings to residents in certain regions as floodwaters got closer to 40 feet. The unexpected downpour was really unusual. October marks the beginning of the Australian wildfire season, which is frequently accompanied by hot and dry weather. However, Australia is going through an extremely rare third consecutive year of La Niña, an atmospheric and oceanic phenomenon that usually causes the east of the country to get more rain than usual. The increased rainfall is also a result of the western Indian Ocean's recurring cooling, which is linked to La Niña. With 3 months left in the year, Sydney shattered rainfall records that date back more than a century this month. Over the previous few years, flooding has occurred multiple times in various areas of the state of New South Wales, whose capital is Sydney. When devastating floods inundated portions of New South Wales and Queensland in late February and early March, hundreds were forced to flee and at least 20 people perished. The most recent floods have claimed the lives of 2 persons. Scientists say the most recent rain is exceptional since it has recently rained throughout practically the entire continent, which is slightly bigger than the contiguous United States. The nation is prone to significant weather changes. The capacity of many dams and rivers is full. According to Margaret Cook, a flood historian at the University of the Sunshine Coast, our rain events are often localized, not national. Dense cloud bands have crossed the desert, carrying moisture evaporating from seas off northwest Australia. Researchers say climate change is worsening the situation. Australia has warmed by around 2.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 1.5 Celsius, since 1910. A warming atmosphere holds more moisture and can increase the intensity of extreme rainfall events. Following a period of severe drought and escalating heat waves, the recent floods contributed to the devastating wildfires that occurred in 2019 and early 2020. Residents in some catastrophe zones are finding it difficult to reconstruct due to the increasingly unstable climate. According to the Climate Council, a nonpartisan advocacy organization, about 1 in 25 Australian properties have a high risk of becoming uninsurable by 2030. There is a long and uncertain road ahead, according to Travis Moore, a sustainable housing expert at RMIT University in Melbourne. If the current situation in the eastern states isn't a sure sign we need to reconsider where and how our houses are built, then there's a long and volatile road ahead, Moore said. The bulk of Australia's new and existing homes is unfit for use in the climate we currently have. Living in the inner Melbourne area of Maribyrnong across the street from the travel agent, Vitalone, Paul Williamson, 63, said he decided against purchasing flood insurance 2 weeks earlier due to the over $10,000 annual cost. The musician lost treasured things and scripts belonging to his acting partner, as well as his piano, which was unable to be moved out of the way of the floodwaters. He chuckled, but it's been a good chance to get rid of a lot of crap. The new centre-left administration in Australia has suggested that planning and development restrictions may be ready for revision, but policymakers argue that more needs to be done to prevent development in disaster-prone areas. Many new real estate projects, particularly those on floodplains, have been sparked in recent years by a booming housing market. Some have been put on hold as governments update their flood mitigation plans. As floodwaters move through the extensive river network of the nation, officials issued a warning that in certain locations it might take weeks for them to recede. Another storm system is anticipated to form over central Australia this week, with the potential to deliver additional intense thunderstorms, copious amounts of rain, and floods to already saturated areas. During a Monday visit to a community in western New South Wales that had been inundated, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese warned reporters, "We're living in extremely perilous times in the days and weeks ahead." Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. Thanks for watching.